CPAP stands for continuous positive airway pressure, and that's what CPAP machines use to help about 8 million Americans with sleep related breathing disorders like sleep apnea keep their airways open while they sleep. But as Ali Rogan tells us, one company that makes the devices is coming under fire for a critical change it made to millions of its breathing machines.
It started with an irritating, rattling noise more than a decade ago, keeping people up at night. Soon after, the medical supply company Philips Respironics made a decision to redesign its top-selling breathing machines, including CPAP machines and ventilators. The company packed industrial foam into the machines to help stop the noise. But Philips quickly started getting reports from users of the machines complaining of black particles or dirt and dust showing up inside the devices. A joint investigation published last month from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and ProPublica found that for more than a decade, Philips withheld over 3,700 complaints about these machines from the Food and Drug Administration. The devices were eventually recalled in 2021, but a number of users developed new illnesses, including cancer and asthma. Michael Salla is a reporter and investigations editor at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Thank you so much for joining us. How did you begin this investigation?
It's like anything. They started with a tip. Somebody said, "Look, you might want to look in federal court. There are people slowly filing lawsuits, death cases, cancer, respiratory ailments, kidney failures." And we did. We started looking at first of all, the complaints, but then digging deeper, looking at the records. And in the course of time, they developed these machines that people were getting sick, and in some cases, their loved ones say they died as a result.
We recently spoke with somebody who used one of these machines. His name is Mark Edwards, and he recently joined a lawsuit against Philips. And I want to play you some sound from what he said about his experience.
I noticed when I was first using my new machine, I always saw like black specks, white specks. It just went from like pure distilled water to looking like water you would see in like a polluted creek. The walls of my lungs are shot now, so they'll never work again. I can't get a lung transplant because nobody would warrant transplanting a lung into a infected area where it's just going to go bad.
Michael, does that track with the story you heard from others?
Yeah, it starts with all the debris and the contamination inside these devices. You have to understand, Ali, these are devices that are supposed to deliver clean air to people with already compromised conditions. And then all of a sudden now they're getting volatile organic compounds, formaldehyde, phenol in particulate matter and in fumes. And they're breathing this in at night, sometimes hours at a time.
What was known about the compounds that make up this foam prior to them adding it to this machine? I mean, it's used in other products, right?
Yeah, but it's used in pillows and mattresses and sofas. They used the wrong foam. They used a foam to basically reduce the sound. These can get very loud at night. People were trying to sleep. So they put in this foam to help reduce the vibrations and the noise. But unfortunately, foam breaks down under a process called hydrolysis, heat and moisture, and it gives off these little black particles. It also fumes into the masks of sleeping patients.
What did Philips know about the dangers of these machines, and when did they know it?
Well, we know this. The first few complaints started coming into Philips around 2011, 2010. That was just a year or two after they started inserting the foam in all their models, both the ventilators and the CPAPs. So they're already getting the complaints coming in. By 2015, we have emails between Philips engineers and the foam supplier saying, "Hey, what gives here? We have potentially a health problem." It still didn't stop them from making the machines. In fact, during COVID, they went into overdrive, advertising and aggressively marketing these at health fairs from Vegas to Dubai.
It's stunning. How did they get away with this for so long?
This is a good question. We believe that the FDA was also getting some of the complaints, even though Philips held back most of them. Some were actually reaching the regulatory agency. They still have not taken any disciplinary actions or penalties against the company. There is a Department of Justice investigation. It is criminal in nature, and the subpoenas have been going out for months now.
And what is the status? Where does that DOJ investigation stand? I also know that families across the country are suing Philips in federal court in Western Pennsylvania. There are more than 700 plaintiffs and thousands of more who have filed claims. What are the status of those procedures as well?
They're still ongoing. Those will be winding through the courts for a while. There was a big settlement on the economic damages. So the company agreed to pay $479 million last month to pay people for buying the defective machines. But the other big cases, the bigger ones, are still pending. This is going to be another one of those where this will be tracked and evaluated for years to come for people that were on these machines for years.
Michael Salla with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, thank you so much for breaking this down for us.
Glad to be here. Thanks.